Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
I named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints.
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my friend who loves to watch movies in chronological order. It's Frank. How are you today?
I am doing great, my friend. I am so happy to be here with you today, and I'm so happy that we are joined by someone.
We are joined by someone. Everyone, this is my dog, Zinnia.
Hi,
she
Zinnia.
Is in front of the microphone. She is licking me. Stop it. Stop it. You're such a good girl. Yes, you are. Who is also a good girl is my wife, Mary, who is also sitting next to me.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Frank. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on the podcast.
Me too. I'm excited to have you here. This should be good. We're going to be talking about some stuff that all three of us care about very much.
Indeed. But first and foremost, things that we care about. Frank, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a Rising Tide Mountainside IPA. I was lucky enough to go to Maine recently, and my wife and I did a little socially distanced outing to Acadia National Park, and we had a great time. And while we were in Maine, I picked up she picked up for me this Rising Tide IPA, which has been really, really great. I've been enjoying it. I enjoyed it while we were still there, and enjoying the last one of them now with you. But Mountainside felt like appropriate for being in National Park and looking at all the mountains and all of that. So felt appropriate for the season and for the location. So it's a really good IPA. Highly recommend.
That's excellent.
Ugh, Acadia is on my bucket list of natural areas, which is extremely long, but it's on my bucket list.
It was incredible. I can't say enough wonderful things about it. But if you two get a chance to go, definitely let me know, and I'll recommend some spots to hit up for sure.
Yeah, definitely. That's good. I am drinking. Actually, left it on the counter in my kitchen, so I'm gonna pretend that I'm drinking it. Just
socially
even though
distanced.
I'm
drinking.
socially distant from my beer.
Yes.
It is the very last Sam Adams Porch Rocker.
Oh, you finally did it.
I finally did it. It took it took all summer until this time. So it's basically like a 6 months journey to finish all of those Porch Rockers. But now that the porch is officially downstairs, we just packed it right up and put it underneath the house.
The porch has been rocked.
It has been rocked then, or it will be as soon as I go after this podcast to go and finish it, because I was so intent on setting up the equipment that I forgot to bring my beer with me. So
That's all right. It happens to the best of us.
It does. So if my voice gets really hoarse over the course of this podcast, just call me Seabiscuit and we'll move on.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Right. All right, great. Mary, are you drinking anything?
I am drinking a very fancy 365 grapefruit seltzer.
Ooh.
Nothing exciting. So I'm not a beer drinker. I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
Like I like the idea of tea, but I just can't get into it.
Oh, interesting. Tea too.
Yeah. I forced myself to drink a cup of tea the other day, and I told Tim, I was like, I drank a cup of tea. You'd be so proud of me.
That's where we are in our marriage.
Yeah.
Nice.
Guess what I did today? I drank a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Exciting updates.
Yep.
Yeah. So when someone was like, "Hey, what's new?" I'm like, "Mary drank a cup of tea." Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, is your seltzer good?
It is. Yeah, it's good. I find the grapefruit is refreshing. That is one of my favorite flavors. They also have a ginger flavor, which is awesome because it tastes like ginger ale without the sugar. So if you want like a little something.
That is really nice, and I wonder if that would work in like a cocktail, like that would call for ginger ale or ginger beer, but to use that instead.
It does. Can't confirm. Have
Nice.
used it.
He's tried it. Yeah.
Yeah, that feels like that'd be a great, because I try to do like low sugar whenever I can, and like I'll use stevia instead of sugar and stuff like that. But I bet that seltzer would be a great alternative to that. That's awesome. I'm gonna log that one away for my next cocktail that I make.
Yeah,
Good
Whole
tip.
Foods. It's there half the time, and half the time it's not, because I think other people discovered it. So,
But it's 365. It should be there all the time.
Every day. I know. Well, I was really excited when Tim told me about this topic suggestion, because it's something that I've thought we should do for a long time. So I'm glad that we finally get the chance to do it.
I agree. A 3-way counseling session. We've really needed for Mary to be in on what the ins and outs of our relationship, Frank and I, that is. And so I think all truth needs to be laid bare.
I'm the impartial third party.
No, you're definitely not impartial.
A little partial.
This is just a session.
A
We're just
little
going to
partial.
peel back the curtain of our friendship.
A
Things
slightly
that you
partial
didn't know.
third party.
One time, Frank and I stayed up until almost 2:30 in the morning. We weren't doing anything. We were just talking.
We were just sitting there.
We were just sitting there.
We couldn't sleep because we'd watched Clockwork Orange.
That's a true story.
That is a true story.
We really had a hard time going to bed that night. Woo. No, so Mary and I put it upon ourselves to watch all the Disney animated releases in order. And we're going for theatrically released, because I really don't want to watch Bambi 2, or Pocahontas 2, or The Lion King 1.5, or any of these other terrible ideas.
No, the Hunchback of Notre Dame too.
Yeah.
Talk about your eyes burning. It's awful. The animation is terrible. It's like, this looks like a coloring book. This is terrible.
Yeah, but have you seen Cinderella 3? Because, ugh.
It was happily ever after. There's no more story to tell.
We're done.
And this is after happily
time.
ever after.
No.
She goes back in time in Cinderella 3, right?
Does she? She goes back in time?
It's got like a tagline.
Yeah,
to it,
she
right?
goes to
There's the second
1855 that time to meet her great grandfather McFly, who
Great Scott!
That pumpkin carriage has to go to 85 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
In a story that is like magically based, and there's like a fairy godmother and all that stuff.
That's just not plausible.
I don't want to watch that.
Yeah.
That's a terrible idea.
That's the part I would find hard to believe.
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't realistic enough.
Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious. No, so anyway, so we opted to say, like, okay, so every 5 Disney movies, every 5 animated chronological Disney movies that we watch in order, we'll come on here and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And it'll be jolly good fun. You, Frank, were under no obligation to actually keep up with watching all of them with us. So you might not have even seen all of them. I don't even know.
I haven't watched them all in preparation for this conversation, but I've watched them all 1,000 times.
Okay, well, that's great. That's really all. That's all we want. I'm going to pull up the list of animated movies in order, just to make sure that I don't forget about any of them. Zinnia, could you please stop
The
licking
dog is
my
still
pants?
licking.
She's like, you still
So much
smell
for
like
that.
cheese.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I swear you smell like cheese.
Okay.
Jesus,
So
just-
anyway, so we watched in order Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, 1937, Pinocchio, Fantasia, 1940, Dumbo, 1941, and Bambi, 1942. And so we watched those in order. Those are the first 5. And so let's start with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
I actually did watch this one relatively recently. Just a few weeks ago, I was in the mood to watch Snow White, and so I did randomly watch it for the first time in several years. So this one's kind of fresh for me.
Okay, well, you start, since it was fresh for you. Like, what are your reactions to Snow White?
It's such a beautifully made movie. Like, it
It's
is
so pretty.
it is the first feature-length animated movie ever. So it was defining a whole sort of, category that we now just take for granted. It is such a beautifully drawn. Like the animation is beautiful, and the music, the score. I can't tell you how many times throughout watching that film just a few weeks ago, I stopped and I was like, oh, that little music cue is from this movie, and that one, and that one, and lots of little cues and lots of little pieces of the score that I remember, but can't remember where, can't place them all the time. Like I'll turned out a bunch of them are from that movie. So
you just walk around your house going, I'm wishing. And
sure.
you're like, where is that from? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly that.
Just like that.
Yeah. What were your reactions,
Mary?
Well, so I agree. It's so pretty, and the quality of the animation is incredible. The detail, the level of detail. I said to Tim, like, oh, look at like the Seven Dwarfs house, like all the little chairs and the woodwork on the steps and everything.
Yes,
So all these little like
the little
forest
carvings
critters.
Yeah,
there's like all these little critters everywhere, and it's like so beautiful. The way that they just represented everything in it. But we were laughing because I said, look at Snow White, like she's supposed to be pretty and everything, and we're like, she looks so 30s, like the eyebrows.
So true.
I don't think her eyes are open the entire time. Like her eyes are always like downcast and like kind of closed. We're going, where are her eyes? Like why are her eyes open? But yeah, she's very of the time.
Very much so.
The way that they represented her.
Yeah, even her hair, like it's not for a magical land that's not supposed to be of any time in particular. Like she's very 1939.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Her makeup, her blush is real makeup. Like they colored the cells with actual blush.
Really?
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool. See, that's the innovation that I love. That stuff like that. It's cool. I mean, the whole film is you could tell that Disney spared no expense. Like he really wanted to like show people like this is something that has lasting power. So let's make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie's a lot funnier than I remember it.
Yeah.
There are tons of gags. Tons and tons of gags, mostly because Disney paid his animators to come up with the best gag. So they'd get like $5 if their gag made it into the movie. So they just had all these ideas spilling out over and over and over and over again. But it paid off, like literally for everybody.
Yeah, for everyone involved. Yeah, great. Such a classic. It's such a wonderful movie, and very like tight storytelling. It's very like one thing to the next. It's very tight but not rushed. And he won an Oscar for special technical achievement for that movie, and deservedly so. In fact, he won an Oscar, and then they gave him an Oscar, and then 7 little mini Oscars standing around it. You can see a picture of him accepting it, where they gave him little seven dwarf Oscars for outstanding technical achievement because it was the first feature length animation piece.
Yeah, and as we'll see as these films go on, I think Snow White has lasting power in a way that a lot of these other films do not.
That's
like, yeah, like he really ran out of the gate, but couldn't keep the pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's move on to Pinocchio, which is a movie I did not like when I was a kid, and on rewatching it, I still don't like it.
Really?
No,
it's creepy.
It was weird and creepy. It's still really pretty. It's just as pretty, if not prettier, than Snow White, but because it's more macabre, and you know me, I like macabre.
I don't.
But Mary doesn't.
Like I don't like it. It's macabre.
Yeah, no. There's like a twig that's like slightly in the wrong direction. You're like, no, it's gross.
No, that's not true.
I don't know.
I don't mind askew twigs.
Askew twigs. Askew twigs notwithstanding, I can go either way on the macabre. It depends. It depends on if it's in service of the story and whatnot. I actually really love Pinocchio. I love Pinocchio, and I have a special place in my heart for it. I think I watched it a lot as a kid. I love the music from Pinocchio. I get like shivers whenever I get the chills whenever I hear like the score. Like the little wooden head. Dun, 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 that just like brings me memories from being a kid. So I have an attachment, to that. And I think the fact that it's an Italian story and my family all immigrated from Italy, has something
that is brand new information.
I know, right? I know. Also, I have a beard. Also,
it's a part of your personality.
Yeah. Also, the Beatles. I love Pinocchio for that reason. Is it the technical best? No. Is it the best story or best told story? No. It's more of an emotional, fondness for it. Although I do think and Tim, I think you mentioned this, I do think the animation might be a little better than Snow White. Like I think they had,
they learned a few things.
Yeah. Exactly. So in that, in the technical sense, I think that's one area where they improved. But I think like so much of the music is fantastic. Obviously gives us Jiminy Cricket and When You Wish Upon a Star, which obviously stays with the Disney company for forever after that.
Yeah, truly, I think those are the two things that are worth watching it for. But we found that like when we were watching it, like it's really Jiminy's movie.
It really kind of is.
Not Pinocchio's movie. He's there, but
he's there.
But Jiminy Cricket is the vehicle for that movie, or he's the driving force of the movie, I should say. And When You Wish Upon a Star is fantastic, but we just watched it, and I couldn't tell you a single song from it.
Me neither.
I got no
funny.
strength.
Yeah, and I know that only because it was on the Disney sing-along, for like a hot second before it moved on to something else.
Gotcha. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I've never gotten the impression that it's a particularly well-loved movie in our generation, or really just in the zeitgeist. But it's one that's just sort of I like it. I have emotional attachment to it, and I enjoy it a lot. But I don't think it holds up as well as some of the others.
No, I think the power of Pinocchio, like with the lie and the imagery, and that is the stuff that stays with people because it goes beyond the movie. But people, like with a lot of things, people know Pinocchio's nose growing because you're a liar without ever having seen it.
That's right.
Which is a testament to the movie itself. But I'll be satisfied if I never watch it ever again in my entire life.
That's fair.
Mary.
Yeah, I too am Italian, and I have
what? That is brand new information.
Get out of here.
We got you surrounded, Tim.
Yeah.
When we went to Italy, we bought a little Christmas ornament, Pinocchio, like the little puppet. He's not like the Disney Pinocchio. He's like red, and he's got the Italian flag, whatever. So they're everywhere. They're all over the place. So we bought one for our Christmas tree, and I like the concept of Pinocchio. Like I love Geppetto. I love that. What's the cat's name? Figaro. I love that little dynamic, and I like Pinocchio himself. Like I think he's a really cute character. He's very endearing, the way that they drew him and everything. It's just the side stuff, like the villains. Like the Stromboli guy, I hate him. I hate the donkey guy. I hate the whale. And I'm like, I love whales. And I'm like, I hate this whale.
I hate
Monstro. What is even happening? Like, yeah, it's just like so freaking weird that I just can't get over the weirdness of it. And then what gets me is I said to Tim, what is with like the fox and the cat? The guys who are always trying to like sell him.
Honest John and what's his name? Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, there's all these humans. And then there's just like these anthropomorphic animals who are like, I'm in a top hat and I look like a hobo and I'm going to sell you to the circus. Like it's
one of those
weird.
It is very weird. I don't think it translates to the American audience very well because I think that like it comes from that sort of Grimm brothers and just sort of European tradition of like cautionary tales for fairy tales, right? Because like it's a lot of that kind of thing that like is sort of threatening kids into like, don't misbehave because this bad thing will happen to you.
Yeah.
Like you'll get eaten by a whale, or like, the old thing of like a grandmother being like, don't make that face. Your face is going to get stuck that way.
Yep.
Those kinds of things. It kind of plays on those sorts of fear-based things for kids, which is not really part of American fairy tale storytelling as much. So it feels like a weird juxtaposition when you look at it in the rest of the Disney stuff, where they soften a lot of that stuff, and you don't find out about the actual Grimm brothers version of the Little Mermaid is a lot darker than what we actually get told. And Pinocchio, they softened it a lot, but there's still a little bit of that, like the scary stuff and the donkey stuff and all that sort of thing is just outside of what we're used to.
Yeah,
in, American storytelling.
Yeah, and they and it's funny because you say they cleaned up Snow White, but they didn't really clean up Pinocchio.
No, it's true.
I mean, like Snow White,
not
is
as much.
Like a lesson in like 1930s gender roles, where like Snow White walks into a house, she's like, "Well, I gotta clean it."
I'm royalty, but I still got a woman's place is in the
this
kitchen.
This is atrocious.
This is a woman who's probably never cleaned anything in her entire life, and the first thing she does into a stranger's house is like, "Well, I gotta clean it for them." Obviously,
not true. No, because the stepmother made her like a servant. Right, because she's in her little like clogs and her like crummy kind of clothes at the beginning, like she's kind of cleaning and doing so. Yeah,
right. Because of course I forgot all stepmothers have to make their hated stepchildren into servants. I forgot that.
That is correct.
Yeah.
See, but it works for Cinderella, but for Snow White, you're like you're still a princess,
right?
Like at least Cinderella was just like she's just a woman in a house, like like she's not royalty. That's the whole point. But anyway, I digress
as usual.
Let's move on to Fantasia, which was divisive because Disney was like, "Hey, let's reinvent the concert," right? And they paid for new sound systems in all these theaters, and they were like, we're like concerts are no longer for the rich; they're for everybody, and let's give them something to go along with. Let's give them visuals to go along with what they're watching, and nobody went. They spent all this money. It was Disney's most expensive film, and nobody went because everyone, even in 1940, they were like, "Ew, culture."
Yeah. Wild. Yeah. Mary, what are your thoughts on Fantasia?
I think it's like standalone. Like if they were like, "Here's a short that we took this one piece of music and animated it," you're like, "Cool, wow, that was fun." But like. Over 60 minutes of
it's
it.
2 hours.
Excuse me,
2 hours?
2 hours of it?
Yeah.
I was like, you're losing me. Like, it's just a lot of the same. And some of the stuff is like very pretty. And then there's just these sections that you're like, this is going on forever. And I know that they're playing the piece of music as it's written. So like they had to kind of create some filler stuff and whatever. So I think that if they did them as shorts with like, here's the piece, this is the sequence, that's it. Because there's like, I'm skipping ahead, but like Fantasia 2000, the Firebird Suite is my favorite segment. It's beautiful, right? And it's
so good.
The volcano and the elk and everything. It's like so gorgeous. But like I could just watch that and be like, cool, I'm done. I don't need to watch the whole thing. Or like I'm trying to think. I can't even remember one from Fantasia. What's one of the pieces?
Oh, you got the Nutcracker Suite.
You got Nutcracker Suite.
Oh yeah, that one was pretty. That was really cool.
You have the Pastoral.
Beethoven.
Yeah, there's a weird nipple ratio in the Greek Pastoral. Like we were noticing, there's like some of them do have nipples, some of them don't. Like what is happening? Yeah.
Hey, did you guys watch it on Disney Plus?
We did.
We did.
So apparently, and I haven't watched this to confirm, but apparently newer versions of Fantasia from the last several years, and I assume Disney Plus is part of this, they have cropped around, I think it's in the Pastoral. The Pastoral is the one with the
Zeus and the centaurs.
The centaurs. Yeah, I guess a couple of the black cherubs and centaurs and stuff were sort of I don't particularly well remember this, but were very racist tropes with like, the way they were drawn was very stereotypical and everything. So apparently in the newer versions of the film, they have panned and zoomed in to cut them out to get rid of that.
Actually, don't remember seeing any black centaurs or fawns, so that we probably really can't confirm that.
Probably, yeah. I think Disney Plus probably is on. I think like the Blu-ray did it, and I'm sure Disney Plus does the same now. Yeah, so they've done that to sort of get around, crop around some of the stuff that they feel didn't age particularly well. Which is good, and that's also why you're not going to find Song of the South on Disney Plus.
Nope.
I like Fantasia a lot. I think I agree with you, Mary, though, that there are for some parts in particular, it's like this would be better as a vignette, as its own short, and they were kind of doing that. I mean, Disney was doing shorts, music-based shorts, before they were doing features. So it does feel, a lot of these do feel like the kind of thing that could be better served that way. There are some that I really like. is it Night on Bald Mountain? Is that what I think it's
That one's very
Night on
cool.
Bald
Yeah.
Mountain is Beelzebub and or
That-
Chernobog, whoever it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The Ave Maria.
In the Ave Maria,
Maria.
going right into that
Very
is
pretty.
beautiful. That one they set up a pan camera to and so instead of going like cell by cell on the same table, they set up like five tables or whatever, and then they just kept tracking. It's very cool. It's very cool stuff. I like Fantasia a lot, but like the both of you, I like the ones that I like, and then the rest of them I can leave.
Yeah.
I like Night on Bald Mountain and the Ave Maria. I like Rite of Spring.
Oh yeah.
Which one's Rite of Spring?
The Big Bang all the way to the Death of Dinosaur.
Oh, the dinosaur. Yeah, I wasn't crazy
that one
about
is
that one.
excellent.
Tim likes the one with dinosaurs in it. Weird.
Wow, you guys are Italian. That's crazy.
I think I like the Nutcracker one because it's all flowers dancing.
I like the Nutcracker.
Is it like
one.
all flowers?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
it's like all flowers
Like,
and mushrooms and
yes,
yeah.
yes. Yeah, it's very clever.
Yes.
It's very pretty. Like the dark backgrounds with the light like focal points of like all the
Yes.
flowers and whatever. But it's all on like a dark background, so it looks like it's happening at night or underwater or whatever. It's just so pretty.
I actually really like the Toccata and Fugue, the first one. That's like mostly abstract. I like that one a lot too.
Me too. As a kid, I remember being like, okay, let's get the show rolling. But as an adult, I very much, because I like the Fugue, I like listening to it, so it's a bit different.
And normally you hear that piece on an organ, and that's arranged for orchestra, which is unique, and so I like it for that. I like listening to that arrangement from Fantasia sometimes too, just because it's orchestral.
Although the
arrangement
Fugue, the Fugue originally is not for an organ, it just has become that.
It's right. It's most popular. Yeah.
On the organ, yeah. Neither of us or any of us mentioned the Sorcerer's Apprentice, which I think is interesting.
Oh yeah,
the most iconic one.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
iconic that they put it in Fantasia 2000 also.
Yes, they
Yes.
did. Yeah. So this is fun. So Frank, you know what the wizard's name is, right? The sorcerer's name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. So because that's it's just like this joke, right? Like, oh, you're watching Fantasia, you must be talking about Yen Sid. And so I turned to Mary and I was like, do you know what the sorcerer's name is? And she's like, no. And I was like, like this is new information I get to impart. This is amazing. Do you remember what it is?
no, that was like years ago, Tim. That was like
4 weeks ago. We watched
years
Fantasia.
ago in 2020 scale.
2020.
It's years ago. in
Yen
2020.
Sid is the name of the sorcerer, which is Disney,
Disney
backwards.
backwards.
There you
Yes.
go. Yeah.
In fact, as I thought I remembered this, and I think I'm right, we did an episode of Beer with Geeks where we talked about just about Fantasia. It was me and Andrew, and the title of the episode is Yen Sid.
Yen Sid. Yep. I remember that.
And I am putting that in the show notes if anyone wants to listen back to that one and hear a full discussion of Fantasia. You mentioned, Mary, watching Fantasia 2000. I did recently just watch one section of Fantasia 2000 because, like you were saying, there are certain pieces that are just, you want to watch that one thing. For you, it's the Firebird Suite. For me, it is Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. And I love that segment of Fantasia 2000. So I recently just fired up Disney Plus just to watch that one, 20-minute segment of that movie. But the original Fantasia is great. I love it. I got to be in the right mood to watch it, but when I'm in the right mood, boy, do I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of marching band because we did a bunch of the pieces in marching band in college. We did Toccata and Fugue.
Nice.
We did the Firebird, which is not as epic as watching Fantasia because you're like, I'm literally marching around in a uniform being like, and just playing and
Love that though. Love that.
It was fun.
Well, let's move on. We still have 2 movies left, people.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Dumbo.
I'm here. Yes.
I want to see an elephant fly. Go, Frank. Go.
Speaking of stuff that should have been cut. Did they edit around any of the crows at all?
No, but there's a tag at the beginning of the movie that this movie has outdated behavior and depictions and that are considered racist. We leave them in here for like historical context because we believe that knowing your history is important and blah 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 blah.
Right.
Which was good.
That's good.
So Fantasia didn't do super well, so it almost bankrupted Disney, so they scaled back incredibly to churn out Dumbo and Bambi, which are only an hour a piece, just about. They're like an hour and 5.
And don't forget that now at this point now we were in the war. So
that's right.
So there was that going on too. So
yep. And so yeah, we watched Dumbo and it's not good.
No.
I gotta say, even as a kid, I always found Dumbo kind of boring.
It's real boring.
Yeah. The saving grace of it is the song that his mother sings. It's so sweet and cute. And
mine, won't
yeah.
you be? Yeah, it's a great.
Baby
song.
Mine
very
is
sweet.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, but the rest of the movie is like, oh my gosh, this is awful. I mean, I hate circuses to begin with. Like, despise the circus. Sorry if there's anybody listening.
Then why are you such
who
a clown?
Loves the circus. Ha ha.
Burn.
Hilarious. I'm sorry if anybody listening loves the circus or was in a circus or whatever, but I just can't stand circuses because clowns freak me out, and I just don't think that large, charismatic animals should be trained to like leap through rings of fire and like travel around the country, and like it's just not great. So I'm so glad that they finally were like, elephants are out of the circus. We're getting rid of the elephants. I'm like, it's about damn time. Like, get rid of the elephants.
You're not alone in that opinion. You're not alone in that opinion.
No. So like watching this, you're like,
we'd still have elephants in the circus if you were alone in that opinion.
Exactly. But you watch it and you go, oh my gosh, this is like terrible.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I hate this. I know it's a cartoon. I know it's not real, but it's like based on, the reality. Like, let's go to the circus and see like zoo animals do tricks. Like, it's just not
the way it was meant to be.
No. I what I find most interesting about Dumbo is that this whole thing is about like an elephant who flies, and that's like he learns to fly. And it's the end of the movie. It's like, oh well, thanks everyone. The end. You're like, what? No, that's reunion with mom. No
reunion with mom. Oh, they don't show that, but they just show them on the train at the end, being like, bye, and they have their own like car.
Yeah. It's kind of bogus.
It kind of is.
It's just kind of bogus.
You made us tons of money. Now everybody's going to be happy, and we'll take your mother out of solitary confinement and chains.
Oh, good. Great.
Hooray. Yeah, the end.
Like,
I maintain that the Tim Burton live-action remake is quite good, mostly because it addresses everything that you just both went on a rant about. Like,
well, we are Italian.
That, that it directly looks at what's wrong with circus culture, with entertainment culture, with treating people poorly, treating animals poorly, and it answers those questions, all while actually providing an interesting story for Dumbo. So I will hopefully never have to watch the cartoon again, but I would recommend the live action remake, which is not something I would usually say for the Disney live action remakes.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah. So, so let's move on to the last one. Let's move on to Bambi. Yeah. Bambi. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Bambi. Bambi's a movie that I fell asleep in, and I have not gone back to watch it, even though we did this podcast.
Bambi's another one that I always thought was kind of boring, even as a kid.
Yeah. Not a fan.
It's pretty, though. It's super
beautiful.
pretty.
Yeah.
It, like, more than I remember, but, like, I fell asleep right after the artist stopped drawing the deer that is his mother.
Yes, it was really sad when the man stopped drawing the
deer. And I did not go back to finish the end. He like becomes king or something. Does he kill Scar at the end? I don't know.
He kills King Kong.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
see
dinosaurs.
I would be interested in. See, don't lie to me. Yeah, it goes against your code as an Italian. Don't lie to me.
My nose is already long. How do you think that happened?
Oh, goodness gracious! Yeah,
it's fine. Bambi is better than Dumbo, but it's just fine.
Yeah,
that's right. But again, it was one of those like I got to make it on the cheap. Dumbo made just enough money to edge them into making Bambi, which made them a little bit more money. And then after these, then you got to sit through Saludos Amigos and like all
Right.
these like really
Melody
like,
Time.
Yeah, just
We'll talk about that next time.
yeah, we'll talk. Yeah. We started watching those already, and I'm like, "Do you want to watch the next one?" We're like, "No, I don't have the energy.
Oh, I don't have the
I don't have the
energy.
energy to watch these terrible movies."
They're
Let's
so
skip to the next one that has a
similar.
narrative, please.
Yeah.
Well,
there's-
yeah, we're close to that. So anyway.
Okay, good.
So so in conclusion, the only ones worth your time: Snow White, Pinocchio, depending on who you talk to, and parts of Fantasia. It's
Pretty
like
much.
diminishing returns every time.
Pretty much.
Everyone watch Snow White. Some people say watch Pinocchio. Some people say watch parts of Fantasia, and then it just goes down.
Nobody
down,
says
down.
watch Dumbo or Bambi.
If you're
No.
gonna watch anything in Bambi, watch the beginning with like "Good morning, young prince,"
Sure.
and the drip, drip, drop, little April showers. That is a beautiful sequence. It's
It
so
is.
pretty, and the song is pretty. It's got like the nice like full choir, which I feel like you don't get now, like in animation, like the awesome like
Yeah, that
like
big
men's
chorus.
and women's
that's-
choir. Yeah, the chorus. And you're like,
Yeah.
wow, this feels
Yeah.
so full and rich and
It's
like
because
so nice.
I think that's indicative of the music of the time, though. When you did
Maybe,
have
yeah.
choirs and backup singers and all that stuff. Like think of like all the Frank Sinatra Christmas albums or the Bing Crosby Christmas albums.
Yeah,
they all
yeah.
had those little
You had
choirs.
the
behind
Andrews
them.
sisters backing him up or something.
Right,
or-
exactly.
Or just like a nameless
A choir.
chorus.
Yeah.
Right, and and you don't really get that that doesn't really
No, it's all
exist
the
anymore.
solo act now.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all a solo
Yeah, it's
act.
so
They
true.
don't care about the group.
I know. It's Bambi is fine. It's fine. One thing that is notable about Bambi is that, and they did this starting all the way back at Snow White, but a lot of footage of actual animals was used as reference, and then they would like trace in some cases bringing animals into the studio and shoot them, just stumbling around or whatever, and then trace over frame by frame to make sure that they were capturing the way these animals actually move, like use it as a motion study for the artists.
Rotoscoping.
Rotoscoping. They did a lot of that from the beginning, but they did a lot of it for Bambi because they wanted to really make sure that they were capturing each animal like as realistically as they could, which I think was really interesting. But like, there's not much of a story. There's not much that happens. There's not much excitement. It's not really an adventurous type of movie, and so it's fine. But
No, it's just the end. You're like, wow, humans are terrible. And I work in the field of wildlife biology. For those who do not know, I work with a lot of hunters, and it just paints hunters in a terrible light. They're careless. They set a fire. They leave the campfire. The forest burns down. Like, really? Come on. Like, it's not, it frustrates me on that level.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
fair.
oh, come on. Yeah. But it makes you like sad though. Like, this is terrible.
I know
Humans
it
suck.
is depressing in that way.
Yeah.
But I, looking at these 5 as a bunch, yeah, the first 2 are definitely worth watching. Fantasia, I would say personally, I would still say is worth watching for the cultural experience, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And the last 2 are, maybe put it on in the background if the kids want something to watch. But like, I'm not sitting down to be like, let's all watch Bambi, kids. Like, let's focus and like, I'll make popcorn and we'll watch. Like,
I'd have been traumatized as a kid. I don't think
know,
my parents
right?
let me watch it because I was like, I love animals, and they were like, let's not watch that one then.
too bad. Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to getting to 101 Dalmatians. That's all I want to get to. I'm just, just get me to the Dalmatians.
No,
I don't
the
know
50s
why.
are good.
Yeah, no, the 50s
50s
are
are
all
good.
right. You got Peter Pan, you got Cinderella, you got other
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty. There's a lot of good ones.
No,
in the 50s.
no. I like those movies. Don't get me wrong, but I just have I've wanted to watch 101 Dalmatians for a while.
Fair. Okay, fair.
But like that when you get stuck in the like we're watching them chronologically, so like you got to like wait your turn.
It's the quest.
Yeah.
You gotta sit through a Melody Time before you can get to 101 Dalmatians. Although I don't hate Melody Time, but we can talk about that another time.
We will talk about that another time. But right now, Frank, the time would be for you to tell everybody where to find us.
Yes, sir. You can find us at beerwithgeeks.com, and that's sort of your entry point to everything that you might want to do. If you want to support us, you can click to donate at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio, and you can subscribe for $1 a month. As little as $1 a month, you get all kinds of early access to episodes, and you're helping us to keep these shows going. So thank you if you plan to do that. You can you can learn all about the other shows at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. Shows like Hate Watch with Us and Academy Rewind and Read Up and Loud Women and a whole bunch of other great shows. It is coming time pretty close for our annual holiday special. So there might be some fun crossover stuff happening there with some of our friends at the other shows on the Thoughtbubble Audio Network. You can email us at beerwithgeeks@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at Beer with Geeks. You can send us your suggestions for future show topics. You can send us your reactions. We love hearing from you and hearing your feedback. And you can find us, you can subscribe to the show for free anywhere podcasts are found, whether that's Apple Podcasts, where you can leave us ratings and reviews, whether that's Spotify or Stitcher or Google or Amazon or anywhere podcasts are found. You'll find Beer with Geeks there. And we appreciate everyone who listens, who subscribes, who tells a friend, who supports us on Patreon, who does any of that, because we love you all, and we wouldn't be doing this show if you weren't listening. So thank you so much for listening.
Frank, that was so good. You get better at that every time.
I was gonna say, how does he remember all that? That's like
years of practice.
A lot of information.
Years of practice.
I'm Italian.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was a blast, Frank. It was lovely to see you as always. Mary, I'll continue to live with you if that's okay.
That's great.
Wonderful. Excellent. All right.
It was lovely to see you, Mary.
Good to see you too, Frank.
Okay. Well, until next time. Cheers.
Cheers.